don't sleep to dream, we sleep to build stamina. Energy to do our thing, get your camera. This show is about to begin, so sit down and buckle it in. Let's go! What's happening? What's happening? It is Friday. Friday Unleashed at 10 a.m. Welcome to the stream, my friends. We got a bunch of cool stuff to talk about today. A lot of passion-filled tangents and rants and dreamy thoughts on the horizon. Shane, how you doing, brother?
Dreamy thoughts on the horizon. I'm like, what is this? The flowering colloquialism?
It's because I'm falling in love with Elon Musk. You see my shirt?
Oh, you got an Elon shirt on. Yeah, we'll be definitely talking about the Elon. I mean, it's the biggest thing, and there's a lot of reasons why it's big, other than just the FY that he put out there. But first, we have to talk about we're going to talk about a few things, but the biggest surprise, even more of a surprise than what happened with the Elon Musk interview, was Godzilla -1, which we're going to be talking about first today. Big shocker, big surprise. And I think you guys are going to be pleased. We're going to touch a little bit on the movie Silent Night. It'll be very short, but you guys will want to hear what we have to say about that. We'll, of course, be talking about the Elon Musk interview and the Weekly Weird. What else do you have, Mr. Brian?
Yeah, you covered it. That's everything.
That's everything. All right, I've got it all. Well, welcome to everybody. Appreciate you guys showing up here. We got the regular cast of awesome people here visiting us this morning. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for showing up on a Friday. Brian, I see the Dork Knight has somehow managed to slip into the podcast hero.
I'm resetting it.
I'm sure Danny would love to hear that he's up there on the board.
I keep forgetting to reset this every week.
But if you guys, just to go over a little bit, we're going to talk about all this stuff. But if you want to support the channel, we do have the Popcast stream here on the upper left-hand corner. As you super chat to us, you will break into our Popcast life force and bring it down, which seems to have already happened. And
there we are.
Then whoever wins at the end of the week or at the end of the show, who has been up there the longest, will win a prize, a mystery product from mixtease.com. Brian, what's our update on having people actually up there showing their times?
Yeah, the time will be here on Monday.
Monday.
There'll be a not even tiny. It'll be actually a fairly large timer right next to that will literally reset every time someone takes this top spot, and it will show you how long they've been up there.
Awesome. All right, so let's just hop into it today, huh? I was able to go and see Godzilla -1, and I understand that there are some people, probably not people who are in the chat right now, but there are some people who are going to be thinking, Godzilla movie. You know, like I told my wife, I said, listen, I'm going to go see Godzilla -1, and she's like, what? Oh, yeah, okay, I'm going to go see a Godzilla movie. Forget the -1 stuff. And do you want to go? And she's like, absolutely not. I don't want to have nothing to do with this. And when I got home, I told my wife, I said, I think you just missed the best movie of the year. So she wasn't impressed. Even after that, she was like, okay, so. You know, and that may be the problem with this movie is I do believe it's forecasted right now to earn $8 million this weekend. And that was done a couple days ago by Box Office Pro. And I got to tell you, after the online support that this movie's getting, the reaction that people are having to this movie, I think that is going to be grossly misrepresented unless dudes don't have the intestinal fortitude to tell their ladies, we're going to go see a Godzilla movie. What do you think, Brian?
I mean, I don't. I mean, hey, hon, come on. Let's go see a Godzilla movie.
Yeah, and she's down?
No, she's not down. She's like,
so that may be the holdup. It may have to be a guy weekend because I don't know how many ladies want to see. But here's the thing: what's interesting about this Godzilla movie is it doesn't sound appealing. And I'll be honest with you, when I first was going to see this movie, and we'll try to stay away from some huge spoilers here. When I first went to go see this movie, I'm like, we got to cover it. You know, it's a Godzilla movie. It's a big movie coming out. And it was more of like a work thing than I'm really looking forward to this Godzilla movie. You know, it's been a long time since I saw a Godzilla movie that I really cared about. And so we went to see it, and I was not excited about watching a movie with subtitles. And I'm like, okay, just go and make the best of it. And right from the beginning of the movie, when the main character lands on Odo Island at the end of World War II and Godzilla first arrives, I was immediately locked in. The graphics, the sounds, everything felt like something was different about this. Even the Godzilla character looked more like the original Godzilla than it did. But what's interesting about this, and we're going to go through it, but the one thing you want to tell your significant others that may not want to go see this movie is that there is a bigger story than just Godzilla. There's a huge focus on the human characters. There's a love story. There is definitely something for everybody in this movie. Would you agree?
Well, yes, unless you're illiterate, then you're screwed.
That's a good point. I mean, yeah, you won't know what's going on if you're illiterate.
And I would argue that you have to read pretty fast too. Like the action up here, reading. Oh, I missed something. God damn it.
Well, okay. I don't know. I don't think I'm anything special with my brain, but I didn't have any problem at all reading it. So I think perhaps it's a lack of desire to read the subtitles as opposed to unable to read the subtitles.
I told Shane, I'm like, listen, when you told me it was subbed, I didn't want to watch it. I watched it, and I'll tell you this: I have never seen a movie where I was both excited and annoyed at the same time. Like, I liked the movie, and it also annoyed the shit out of me because of the subtitles. But it was a good movie.
Yeah, it was. It ended up being good. And
I have an unhealthy problem with subtitles. So
you do, yeah. You do movies that subtitles and people talking. Yeah.
No, people talking for too long about nothing important. Like, look, if I want to sit around and watch people talk about nothing for 2 hours, I'd sorry, hon, if you're watching, but I would just listen in on you and your sister at the dinner table every Friday night. I don't give a shit.
Okay, so if it's something you care about,
there's got to be some kind of like actual moving forward in the story, unlike Killers of the Flower Board.
Okay,
no,
right.
This movie was good. Op and Pooper. The thing with this movie is that there is a lot of subtitles. There's no English. So I don't know if you do this, but like a part of your brain sometimes when you're watching action sort of like turns off and you like hyper focus on one thing, right? I got ADD. So like my ADD was just like at peak levels, constantly trying to pay attention to this seemingly, less exciting thing that's actually pivotal to the story while there's something more exciting happening right above it.
To be fair, there's very little subtitles to read while action is occurring.
That's true.
So, that's not something that you need to be concerned about. Let's talk a little about Godzilla -1. This is Toho's 33rd Godzilla movie and the 37th entry in the franchise altogether. The movie comes in at just over 2 hours. Did the movie feel long to you, Brian?
No.
Didn't feel long, did it?
No, it actually felt sort of short.
Yeah, and that's a good sign. If you have a movie that's over 2 hours that feels like it's could have been more, or you feel like you could have watched more. Actually, I felt like this movie was about perfect. Like the time frame, I was content leaving the movie. I didn't feel like I needed to see more. I didn't feel like I got shorted. So that was really good. The interesting thing about this movie is that the human characters are not overshadowed by Godzilla. And it actually adds to the quality of the film. I think this is one of the first Godzilla movies that I rooted for the people instead of Godzilla. Don't you usually, when you're watching Godzilla, you're kind of rooting for Godzilla?
Yeah, he's like, when you watch Godzilla, like you don't really care about the actual human characters, and you just want to see Godzilla succeed, which is why it's really easy to when they make the most recent Godzillas besides this one, where they made him sort of like the anti-hero, where he's like saving humanity against someone. Right. Now you can like really be like, go Godzilla, right? But in this movie, he's just a bad guy or girl, or or it, because they say it. He's a monster. He is a monster, right? Except for you still sort of want to see him succeed, unless it's a particular group of people, and you're like, whoa, don't step on them.
Well, I didn't think that way at all. But
no, don't step on them. They're cool. They're cool.
Yeah, I didn't want him to step on anybody in this movie because they did a really good job of setting the premise. And essentially, this is post World War II, post World War II atomic damage to Japan. They've been destroyed. Tokyo's been destroyed by air raids. Their people are living in squalor. You see the condition with which the Japanese people are living in post World War II, and the kind of the trauma that they've gone through, and you're just kind of like, you have more feeling, I think, and empathy towards them when Godzilla comes. Now, Godzilla in this movie is not trying to bring Godzilla is not trying to bring balance and harmony to the planet. It is literally a terrifying monster. I kept thinking, no, don't shoot him. He can be your friend. No, screw that, man.
In no way is he trying to be the good guy.
This Godzilla is no one's friend.
He wants to kill you. And I gotta say, I watched. This is one of those uses of surround sound where I can really enjoy it, because when he was roaring, it was like, oh, okay, all right. It's great.
Yeah, I saw the early showing, and I got to see it in IMAX, which I don't typically go to IMAX.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
At all, because I don't really generally care about that stuff. But holy crap, it made a difference. Like, it really, his roar, the atomic blast that he does.
I saw it in XD, and like when he roared, like it was like
all around the place, right? Yeah, the score is amazing. It feels like the original. The visuals and sound are awesome. From almost the first scene, it's just incredible. And to talk about this a little more, so Godzilla first came about in 1954, right? That was when the first movie, black and white, Godzilla came out. And if in 1954 Godzilla is like an allegory for the destruction of atomic weapons, this movie is about post World War II nuclear weapons and the talk and the fear of them becoming stronger by a society who has already been decimated by them. The characters openly talk about fear of rising tensions between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, and how these tensions are escalating the production of nuclear weaponry. And that's something that actually took place once, Russia got nuclear weapons. It became, and the Cold War began to draw on. This was an actual real thing. So with the continued development and refinement of the atomic bomb, Godzilla -1 implies that it's not a question of if war will return to Japan, but when. Right. And when it does, it will be worse than before. So in the movie, when Godzilla arrives in mainland Japan, in the first little island he's on, he's actually small. He's basically like the size of a dinosaur, I would say, like we've seen in movies.
A cute little dinosaur.
Yeah, it kind of looked like a dinosaur. He came in, he was kind of, walking around. He was big, but when he arrives in Tokyo, he is humongous because of the nuclear detonations that happened off of Bikini Island and all the stuff that happened, post World War II. So it's kind of an allegory for not only our nuclear weapons were one size and did destruction, but what will they be in the future when they're bigger? And Godzilla's this huge creature that is a representation of the fear of nuclear weapons, I think.
Right.
So
wait. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
So was it the United States nukes that turned him? It was, right?
It was, yeah. It was testing.
Was that the way it was back in the old days?
That really happened. So we did testing. Yeah.
No, I know, but in the original movies, did they blame it on the Americans?
Yeah, essentially. Well, they blamed it on atomic weapons. Yeah.
Oh wow! I never really got that point.
There's no really finger pointing.
It makes sense though, because Japan had that. I mean, we dropped 2 first atom bombs on Japan.
Yes,
makes sense that when they started making movies, that's like that. They would make it about this big incident in their history.
Right. True. And it wasn't it's kind of interesting because it wasn't as if there was a finger pointing at the United States.
Incident. I call it like it's a minor incident.
Right.
Yeah. Because we damaged their DNA for 7 generations. So it wasn't that bad. It wasn't an incident. It was pretty bad for them.
Well, you got to remember, like the atomic bombs that were dropped, at the end of World War II, don't even remotely represent the atomic bombs we have now.
Oh yeah.
Thousands of times more dangerous.
Yeah, literally thousands of times more like explosive and damaging in every way. Like, and those ones were bad enough to like mutate people on the spot, like melt their skin from their body. And now we have ones that are just like world enders. Well, I don't know why do we make such horrible weapons that
Oh, well,
can damage entire parts of the planet, huge swaths of the planet for hundreds of years.
Well, not to go too far into it because we don't want to go too far into it, but the reason why nuclear weapons were built because we were afraid that the other guys were going to make them.
Yeah, the Cold War.
So because we thought the Germans were going to make them during World War II, the Americans made them, and eventually somebody was going to make them. So, and then of course Russia got them because we got them. So it's a whole thing, but they don't do finger pointing at the U.S. in this. In fact, the U.S. ships are destroyed by Godzilla in this movie as well. And it's really more focused on Japan. And this is a Japanese made movie. The director is Takeshi Yamazaki. This is his third Godzilla iteration and definitely his best. But what does the -1 mean? A lot of people are like, well, what does Godzilla -1 mean?
I think it's like before the first movie we originally saw.
Well, it's a good idea, but that's not really what it is. What it is it means that when things were at their worst and no one thought it could get worse, Godzilla came and proved that there is something worse than the number 0. It's called -1. There's worse than despair. There's unprecedented despair.
Oh,
so the whole idea.
That's quite
yeah. So it's essentially like, because remember they were devastated and they were just starting to like kind of come back, and then he comes in and you got the scene with the girl, and you've seen this in the previews. The girl in the train and Godzilla's there, and it's just like utter destruction.
Yeah. I gotta say, Shane obviously has much more to say about this movie than I did. I think Shane probably liked it more than me, but I think I'll probably watch this again when it comes out as a dub. That's when I'll convince my wife, on stream, whatever, like, hey, let's watch Godzilla -1 when it's dubbed. And I know I sound like some kind of just absolute uneducated hillbilly that's like, oh, well, I don't like reading on the screen.
You have all your teeth though, so we're okay.
But and they're all mine for now. So, but the thing is, for me personally, I believe that subtitles are important when you are representing a language on the screen that is not the primary language that's being that is being represented. But when the entire primary language is that, they have to give it. I wish they would have done a dub and maybe mixed in subs. For me, I don't like the subs. I've never liked subs. I have a hard time getting. That's why I can't like foreign films. That's why I love that Netflix has introduced me to a whole cadre of amazing movies that before I would have never even considered, because they dub everything now. So you can go and
everything will be dubbed. Yeah.
Find a movie and there's an English version of it and some talented voice actors, and they match it up pretty well. It looks pretty good. And I've seen a lot of good movies now because of that dub tech.
I got to tell you though, I appreciate what you're saying, but I think one of the things why the dubbing is so good in this is I feel like I watched a movie made in Japan.
Yeah.
And one of the problems I think with when you watch a dubbed movie, even watching like say the movie what's the one where they shoot everybody, kill her? It's a game. What's that?
It's a game?
Yeah, it's like a big game in Korea. South Korea made it.
There's a lot of those though, so it's hard.
Yeah, no, the one that was huge, like worldwide. The one that's got a game show right now out where
Squid Games.
Squid Games. So like Squid Games.
When you said streaming, I was like Call of Duty. I don't know.
That's what I like remember. But when Squid Games came out, it was like, and I watched the dub version. I mean, I knew like in my head it came from South Korea, but I didn't feel like I was watching a foreign movie for some weird reason, even though the actors were all. So this movie feels. It feels so it feels so not legitimate or original, but it feels proper. It feels like an original, and this movie has the feeling. I got the feeling that I felt like I was 7 years old again, sitting in front of the TV watching a black and white Godzilla movie. That's what this felt like to me, and it's been so long since we've seen an un-American Godzilla. I mean, I know you could go out and watch the MonsterVerse stuff and things like that, but this felt like.
No, he's
prime
right.
time
you're
Godzilla.
Right. And for me, it felt like back in the day. I remember watching like Godzilla versus Mothra and these kind of like big tentpole movies, And I remember the feeling where like I want to know more about this universe. And back then, before there was the internet, you had to wait for the next movie to come out or find out if there was another movie before it. And I had the same exact feeling, except for it was like 400 times the quality. Like 4,000 times the quality. It's the same exact thing. And I don't want to discount it. It's a good movie. I'm gonna really enjoy it when it comes out as a dub. And I believe that people with a higher bar of entry, like my wife, who does not want to go watch a subtitled Godzilla movie. That's the same as if she was like, "Hey babe, do you guys want to go see the all gay version of Yellowstone, the theatrical cut?" No, what the fuck? Like,
okay,
you have to understand, like it's the opposite of what a lot of my wife is ever going to want to watch. But if you put the dub on top of it, it lowers the bar a little bit for her. Takes a layer off.
Yeah, especially since they're already got a negative connotation about watching a Godzilla movie. But I think another reason why this movie may particularly speak to people around the world is that the human characters, they're defending their country not out of loyalty to their government, but loyalty to each other. This is very interesting. The government failed them, right? And this is very obvious in the movie. They really go into detail about this. And now they must fight for the love of each other if they have any hope for the future. And I think that's something it resonates with a lot of us who feel like our governments are like chokeholding us right now, but because of social media. And because of social media,
they are. We're going to get into that a little bit later. Sorry,
but because of social media,
my heart rate just went up because of you. When you said
yeah, well, I'm just saying this is what when you see this stuff, you see a Japanese made movie where we're looking at patriotism, but not patriotism and loyalty to a government, patriotism and loyalty to your fellow neighbors.
That's true,
and that's a very cool thing and something that social media is dividing us on. And so we're not able to have any faith in our government, and we're not able to have faith in our neighbors. And I think it's having impact on our society.
You know what I just realized? I felt more for these people that don't live in my country, that don't live in my time, that don't speak my language. I felt more for them than I have felt about any of the characters in Killer of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, you name the movie this year. Yeah. I felt maybe instead of like, I think Dungeons and Dragons is the only movie where they had like real camaraderie. Like you felt like they had chemistry and
they cared about each other.
But every other movie this year were just a bunch of a-holes on screen. This was the first movie this year where I'm like, I care about, I'm rooting for them. I care about them. And I'm like I said in the thumbnail, Hollywood needs to take notes, man. Like,
yeah. Well, anyway. So we'll get to that. I just real quick, one more thing I want to add.
Godzilla's a direct sequel to Oppenheimer. Thank you, Archmage.
That's a good point, actually. The coolest feature of the movie, I think, was how Jaws-like Godzilla is in the water. He's simply terrorizing. With his eyes just kind of coming out of the water, and it's got this snake-like feature. And he's got this infinite persistence, right? And how about those spikes that as they set into place, the countdown running up his back before the atomic blast builds tension and fear, and the effects are devastating, right? Like when he sends out his atomic blast, like you realize it's literally like an atomic bomb going off again, right? And it was just really cool. The movie was made for $15 million, and this is where things get really interesting. The movie was made for $15 million. Listen to me. I'm not $150 million.
Did you guys hear that? 15 million. Yeah.
This movie looks better than almost any movie that was made this year.
This movie cost less than the Red Wedding episode of Game of Thrones.
That's a good call.
Episode.
So this movie made 15. Okay. So what's going on? So is Hollywood lying to us? How do you make a movie of this quality for $15 million?
I'm assuming you take all the money laundering, corruption, the golden parachutes, the giant the giant salary for your cousin who's doing craft services, and your your son that just turned 18, that's holding the boom mic, making $1 million for his time on the movie. Maybe there's someone over there who can actually manage a budget correctly, and everyone's just not dipping their hands in the pot and just committing outright tax fraud. I'm assuming that's the case, because if you can make this movie for $15 million, there must be something wrong. And then you look at the CGI and you go, okay, even like the CGI budget in Hollywood for this movie, just the budget alone would have been higher than the cost of the movie. Right. So I'm looking at this thing, and I think I was telling you, I really believe, and I believe that they're doing this. It's something called super scaling, which is a really cool technique, and you can save a ton of money on CGI when you do super scaling. And what it is basically you do the graphics, like you do your CGI at a lower resolution, right? So it's faster to do. You can make more. You don't have to put as much detail into the textures and all that. You take that extremely low resolution CGI, and you use smart sharpening and AI tools to blow it up. So let's say it's like, it's at 100, and in order to get to full 4K, you got to blow it up to 600. And the smart sharpening and the super scaling and the AI actually puts in some of the details. And for stuff like, for texture things like dinosaurs and reptiles and grass and water, like these kind of things you can really add a lot of detail in it, and it's very forgiving, unlike human faces or something. So I believe you could have saved a ton of money on this by using the super scaling technique. I don't have any proof of that, but watching the movie and seeing like his head in the water and going through, I was like, God, like it looks so realistic, and it might look that realistic because it's literally amped up from its original smaller version, and it would have cost them a lot less. And if they did do that, then that's awesome.
It doesn't look like a video game. No, it looks real.
It's real.
Like it looks very real, and it's the best VFX I've seen, I think, in a movie this year. It's incredible. But yeah, so I think Hollywood has a lot to explain for its bloating. I think this is a really good example of like the bloating in Hollywood. Archmage has a really good comment about the Japanese work ethic is also insane compared to ours. I'm very concerned with how much movie cost has gone up since COVID, how much more expensive the movies are now. They're remarkably more expensive, and how much of that is just people taking longer to do things, and kind of the bloat and the stuff that's going on right now with how our, I would say the American work ethic may not be as quality as the Japanese work ethic, because people are too busy, I don't even think working at home.
I don't even think that's a hot take. I think that's just a fact.
I know, but I don't want it to be a fact. Like it's just, it's embarrassing, frankly. So,
bro, my kids, and a quick, small, tiny tangent. I'm sorry. My kids have something today called, I forgot what it's called. Fuck. It's a Christmas, like they let them shop at this like school, like store for Christmas presents, and
like a Secret Santa thing.
It's like, it's sort of like, it's called, what's that shit you put above your head and you have to kiss each other?
Mistletoe.
Yeah, mistletoe. It's called the mistletoe store. I can't even say the word. But my kids are like, hey, I need like $60 for school today. I'm like, what? For what? Like, we're shopping at the mistletoe store. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, okay, $30 a kid, right? They're like, no, $60 each. I'm like, what the fuck? And apparently, this is like, I'm like, okay, well, you guys got to do something for it. Get some chores. Feed the guinea pig and the dogs, and like they're like, I'll do one of those things for $60. I'm like, this isn't a negotiation.
I know. Yeah, my kids the same.
And bro, and like I've been trying to raise my kids since they were born, like to think the way I think, and that's just not the way they just don't think that way, man.
World's different now, man.
Yeah,
world's different. Yeah, so that's a good point. So if you guys listen, I really feel like you need the in this case, don't wait for. I can't believe I'm saying this. Don't wait for Godzilla -1 to go to streaming. If you can watch it, you need to go to the theater to see this movie.
It's amazing in the theater.
Yeah, it's just that big. See it, and I never say this. See it in IMAX or see it in what is yours? What is your version?
Yeah, XD.
XD.
Yeah, Super XD is preferred, but that's rare. So
yeah, it's just a cool experience, and I was totally impressed at 2 hours and 5 minutes. Check it out. I do think it has taken a new place. If you want to show Shane's 2023 movie list,
oh, here we
you
go.
Can see where it ends up. Where does this movie?
Here we go. You ready, Shane?
I am ready.
Here we go. You guys about to see hit the movie list. Boom. Godzilla -1 has rightfully taken his spot as the king of 2023's movies. And I don't think there's a movie coming up that can kick him from that throne.
Well, it's okay. So it's possible still. I will say Godzilla -1 definitely now is my #1 movie. Move over Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This movie is incredible. Now, I will say Ferrari's still coming up, and also Aquaman. So I think there's 2 movies that can still be in contention, but it's going to be tough because this movie encompasses everything that you want to see in a movie. And yeah, that's where we stand.
Okay. That's where we stand. You heard him here, folks.
Well, let's get over to some super chats and kind of fill us in there. And then we'll talk quickly about Silent Night and Elon Musk.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the top of this super chat here. Okay. I got the right one. All right. So first off, from Kenneth the Rogue for $20, he says nothing. He just wanted to give us $20. I'm impressed.
I was going to be like, what did he say?
He just gave us $20, like the G he is. Thank you, Ken.
And then 5 seconds later,
yeah, he's like, you know what? $20 wasn't enough. Here's another 10.
Thank you, Ken. We appreciate the support.
Yeah,
and,
I appreciate it, Ken.
We know how much $30 means to you as well. So thank you so much for that.
Man.
That really means a lot.
Big deal.
Also, we got DS. Welcome to cast member.
I'm sorry. Wait. But we need to talk about this chat that he put in here. There is a dub version out there. I'm gonna need to check that out later on.
Yes. Yeah. I know if it's not available now, it will be available soon. I mean, they're obviously going to dub it. So
yeah, they better.
They understand that people have your problem. But I would say watch it both ways, because there is definitely something about being immersed into, you just feel like you're part of that culture by watching it that way.
That's true. Also, we have a new cast member. DS.
All right.
Became a cast member.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Does this pop up when somebody signs up?
Yeah, and it counts toward the stream hero.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I've never seen that before. Welcome, DS. Glad you're there.
Yeah, thanks. Glad you're with us. Thank you. And Michael Nemo says, "I'm sorry, no, I missed one. I'm not. I got the right one." Brian, how are you able to read the chats here? Son of a bitch!
They got you, man. They got you.
I mean, considering how long it took me to find your comment there, like.
No, he's totally distracted. So he can read. He can either read your chat or he can pay attention to what I'm saying. He cannot do both.
That's not true. I can do both.
Okay, what did I just say?
I don't know. What was that?
You were reading the chat. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you for the $2, Michael. We really appreciate it.
Rec Thought says, Brian. Anti Thought for $10. Brian, don't let anybody look down on you for the subtitle issue. I am not an anti-sub snob. I just can't read it fast enough to still enjoy the emotions on the screen. I've never been able to vocalize this, but I feel like I'm experiencing the meaning of what's happening after it's already been emoted to me, and it's just it's jarring.
Yeah, and I think Rec Thoughts has a really good point here, because that is tough. I mean, you're obviously, I think if you're a Japanese person who speaks Japanese, obviously this movie is probably going to, reach you on a deeper level more immediately. The problem with the dubbed version is that because there's like a delay and some things are different, there is also a feeling of you're watching something that's not quite complete. So I think it's tough because the movie's made in Japan, whether you watch the subtitle version or you watch a dub, you that you may be missing something either way, I guess.
If Netflix gets it for streaming, it'll be the best of version because they have like this tech that actually manipulates the look of the mouth, so it feels more natural.
Well, although even watching Squid Games, you could still tell it was dubbed.
You could, but you know what's funny? When I watched it before I knew anything about Squid Games, and for the first episode, I was like, "Wait, is this in English?" I had a hard time telling. It was that second episode when they were like crying and stuff, where it was really obvious because I was like, "Oh, well, that's clearly not the same person."
Right.
Michael Nemo for $5. Thank you, Michael. He says, 15 million for Godzilla reminds me of the $400 hammer in DC, or if I pay for a filling at the dentist versus what they bill my insurance. Oh, yeah. He's talking about like, where's the money going? $400 for a hammer, $20,000 for a toilet from Independence Day.
Right. Yeah. Well, so I mean, here's the answer to that question. If you want to know, the reason why things in the government cost so much is because when you're working for the government, you have two things that I'll be really quick about this. Two things happen when you're working for the government. A, you got to spend all the money they give you, or they'll give you less the next year. So they train people to spend all the money. Also, you have a limited list of people you can buy products from. When you're with the government, you have a select list. They want you to buy things from female only operators. There's like incentives to buy from certain people.
Female only, Native American. It's like all these stipulations, and like there's this one person who's in that right age range, gender, and race. And it's like, I guess I'm going to start a carpet store.
So what happens is, and this is the same thing with contractors and people who get things with the government. So what happens is these people realize their competition is like one or two other people, so they can raise the price up really high because the government has no choice but to buy the product. So it's greed, bottom line. The same thing with your dentist, that they bill the insurance company way more than you would actually pay because the insurance is being the middleman and they need to get their money. They're getting your money and they're getting their money. So yeah, that's.
I found out recently, by the way, that my phone calls with my doctor's office are billed.
Oh, Jesus.
Bro, yeah. I have a neurological appointment next week, right? And I was calling about it. And right when I called them, I got this text message that said, don't forget you have a bill for $170, dude. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Glad I got them on the phone. I'm like, what's this bill about? I'm not giving you guys $170. I pay my co-pays, everything. What are you talking about? Well, your insurance kicked back your last virtual or telecommunication appointment. I'm like, what is that? Well, you called in to get your prescription. You talked to Dr. So-and-so. Your insurance said they wouldn't cover that because you had already been to the doctor 3 times. I'm like, yeah. That wasn't my third time in the doctor. That was a phone call. Like, I'm not paying $170. I'm just not. I was like, I'm not paying it. I will die. If I was a millionaire, I still wouldn't pay it. I will die before I give you $170 for a phone call. F off.
Right. You're not wrong. Bohemian Paul for $2. Good to see you, Bohemian Paul. It's first super chat, I think, from this person.
I think so.
Seeing Godzilla on Sunday. Well, let me tell you, so glad you're going to see it. You're going to be rewarded with a wonderful twist at the end of the movie. I will not tell you what it is, but there is a wonderful, wonderful twist at the end of this movie. So enjoy that, Bohemian Paul.
Well, I'm going to ruin it real quick for you. Okay.
I was like, what? What's about to happen here?
Okay. All right, man. Let's talk about let's quickly talk about Silent Night, then Elon Musk.
Yeah. So I don't want to go into it too deeply, but I believed, and I was telling Brian about this early on. I felt like Silent Night was going to be like a breakout movie for the holiday season. It was a revenge movie. It was, basically the premise of the movie. If you haven't seen the trailer, and if you can pull up an image of it, Brian, so people can see what we're talking about. Essentially, it's Joel Kinnaman, who is in For All Mankind, the TV show For All Mankind. He was in, I believe you said he was in, what's the movie with the DC movie?
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. He was in both Suicide Squad movies. Pretty good actor. He's interesting. I think he plays potential to play a good leading role. And in the trailer, you can see that, essentially his son is killed by like drive-by gang shooting, which I really feel like they shouldn't have showed you this in the trailer, because when you're watching the movie, it isn't initially, it's not shown to you. It's kind of a surprise. So they just give it away in the trailer, right? They have this really great way of starting out the movie where he's running down the street and like basically trying to fight these two cars that are trying to kill each other, these gangs. And then he ends up in the hospital, right? So we have no idea what happened for the first 7 to 10 minutes of the movie. Right. We have no idea what happened. And then we find out that his son was killed. So I feel like they kind of send you into it a little bit jacked up. So essentially what the movie's about is, he plots this revenge to basically kill all the gang members, which is a cool idea. Only one problem is John Woo, who's, made some pretty great movies, decided he was going to take the title of his movie literal, because Silent Night is a movie that has no dialogue. Let me repeat.
When you told me that, it was it's so stupid. It's stupid as I ever heard.
No one speaks in this movie.
Yeah.
There's
no words in the movie.
There's no words in the movie, and there's a reason for it. I won't tell you if you want to go see it. There's a reason why the main character can't speak, but I just think they took it literal. And while the movie has some interesting elements, and I think John Woo did a really good job trying to make it realistic, so it's not like a John Wick revenge movie. This is more like a Rocky, movie, a revenge movie where the main character gets his butt kicked way too much, or a Karate Kid movie. So he tried to keep it realistic.
Just to recap, Shane, you sent me to go watch a movie with subtitles and a silent movie. So basically, I didn't get to watch an actual movie this week. I'm a little bummed out about that.
Well, you wouldn't have watched a movie here either, because nobody said anything. I mean, you get to see. It was written by this guy, right? It's hilarious. How hard would it be to be a writer that doesn't have to write any dialogue? Like, you'd imagine just writing.
He's just writing the action sequences,
the action scene. And like I said, Joel Kinnaman, he's a good actor. He does a good job portraying this character, and you do feel the development. But there's just so many things missing. I would not, if I'm going to spend my money on one movie this weekend, I'm going to see Godzilla -1 again, rather than seeing this movie for the first time.
Or what you can do? You can pull up your favorite streaming service and just watch last year's Silent Night, aka Violent Night, which was a rock and roll story. It was a great movie.
Yeah, and people actually talk in that movie.
And people talk, and it's fun, and it's action filled, and this is, if you haven't seen Violent Night, that's your Christmas movie this year. It's a great movie. Great movie. Really cool. And
is it a great movie, or were you just really entertained?
I was so goddamn entertained there. I mean, in every way. When in that scene where he throws the grenade and he's not even looking at it. He's just like, and then explodes, and he's like, "Oh, that's really up. It's a lot more. It's a lot more I thought it was going to be." Just a really good movie. It's a good movie all around.
Well, yeah.
Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just fun as hell. It's a fun movie, man. Basically, Santa is so tired of being Santa. He's just trudging through his job, and at some point, he goes to deliver presents or whatever, and he hears a little girl on a walkie-talkie saying that they're hurting her family, or they whatever kidnapped her, and he tries to help her, and he basically becomes it's Bruce. It's Die Hard with Santa.
Okay, yeah,
that's what it is. It's Die Hard with Santa.
All right, very cool. I haven't seen it, so I'll have to. It was just too ridiculous for me. I was like, I'm tired of ridiculous movies, but I'll give it a try. Why not? After I watch Silent Night, I'll watch anything. So
yeah. Okay.
All right. So I think we're done with that. Let's go to do a couple super chats, and then we'll get on to Elon Musk and his big FU to Bob Iger, who was like standing there somewhere. So
Michael Nemo says, "So wait, Silent Night isn't that Santa film with Hopper from Stranger Things?" No. That's Violent Night, which we just discussed.
Violent Night, but it is confusing. Like, I was kind of having the same issue. I'm like, didn't they make a movie like this last year?
But it was. I'm telling you, Shane's right. It was just like, it is not hard to top this movie. If you just have talking in your movie, you're good.
It does help quite a bit.
It
I
does.
will say that David Harbour, who plays Santa in that movie, was really great in the driving movie that was Gran Turismo.
Oh, Gran Turismo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, and we're not going to pull up the list, but just so you know, Silent Night came in at number 34, below Blue Beetle, but above Haunted Mansion. So if you want to know about where that sits.
Haunted Mansion was pretty bad.
Yep.
It was pretty bad. Yeah. Also from No Money G. So Silent Night will offend the deaf. No subtitles.
Well, so they talk via, when they do need people to communicate with each other, they do it via like phone text messaging.
Right.
So the wife and the husband,
it's so cringe.
It's weird. And then even the gangsters are like communicating via text message. So there's just no talking.
No,
ever. There's like letters. There's, and I get it. Like he was trying to be creative. John Woo was trying to be creative. The problem is it just doesn't work. That's it.
Yeah. He needs to focus on punching people in the face.
Which there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
There is. Yeah.
Kenneth the Rogue for $10, and he says, nothing. He's just a G.
I just nothing to say. Nothing to see here.
To say.
Thank you,
Just
Kenneth.
Drop the $10. Let's
We
get Brian
appreciate you,
another
brother.
coffee. All right.
You have some gifts coming too, Ken, by the way. So
We do.
I'm trying to work that out. He didn't get some things that he should have gotten.
Let's chat about the Bamf of the week, Mr. Elon Musk. And boy, is this a divisive topic. There are people who are just hating on this guy, standing up courageously for their corporate overlords, like that cringy white knight. Are you okay, my lady? To Disney and Amazon and Comcast and whoever's, whoever they need to be defending from Elon Musk. And then there's the rest of us who are looking at this as what it is, in my opinion.
Well, let's look at it from a point of view of the people who don't like him. So let's try to be like, look at that reasonably for a second. Why would people not like Elon Musk? Well, he's a billionaire, and people don't really like billionaires. He has a propensity to say kind of wild and crazy things without thinking. People don't necessarily like that either. I think the biggest reason why people don't like Elon is because he's not very polished, and he doesn't consider the things he says or does before he does them. And so people find that offensive. And now that because of his leaning with the free speech thing and the buying of Twitter, he's somehow been thrusted into the right-wing political spectrum. And so now officially everybody who's on the left doesn't like him because now he's this political figure, which he's never wanted to be.
Yeah, he's not. The people on the left hate him because he's standing up for free speech. When did free speech become exclusively a right-wing issue?
They're not listening to him.
That's
crazy.
The problem.
They're not listening to him. They're looking at what he represents. They're listening to what their echo chambers are telling them to do, but they're not listening to what he says. And what I think is amazing about this interview that takes place, people are obsessed with the first 5 to 10 minutes of the interview where he basically tells advertisers to go F themselves. Specifically, he's like,
wait, let's play it. And you want to play it real quick? We can play it. We won't
sure,
get copyright thing.
Let's play it.
Okay.
Just leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope.
Context, because it cut off. He said he's talking about the boycott. A bunch of people are boycotting advertising on Twitter, and this guy is like, "Yeah." So we talked to Bob Iger. He's bringing it up, and Elon Musk interrupts him and says, "I hope they stop."
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
But
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
And just to be clear here, Brian.
Hey, Bob. God damn.
Yeah, I know. Well, and just to be clear here, like I have a son with Asperger's who's autistic. Okay. And Elon Musk definitely 100% is on the spectrum.
Right.
Okay. And one of the things, and not everybody can recognize this because, I've got, 14 years of experience in dealing with it. But one of the things about Asperger's and autism is the inability to not just say it like it is, like whether not in a way that they're considering what other people might think, or considering they think that they're just presenting the facts as they are.
Right.
So when Elon Musk says this, he's just simply saying what he thinks is the reasonable facts. And so if you look at it from that point of view, you don't look at it from the point of view that he's trying to insult people. He's really not. He's frustrated that he's being blackmailed in a way for his advertising. And he's frustrated that people are trying to shut down Twitter. And I understand his frustration, because why would anybody want to shut down someone who's fighting for the freedom of everyone, who's fighting for free speech for everyone?
Yeah, like
he said it multiple times.
I can imagine his frustration. Like, I don't understand. Do you not get it? I'm giving you a place where everyone can speak. Everyone can speak. Why is anyone have a problem with that? Because from my perspective, I don't understand why anyone would have an issue with that, especially because if you don't like, let's say you're highly triggered, easily offended, then just don't go to Twitter.
Well, the problem is the truth can be problematic for people who aren't necessarily operating in the truth.
Ooh.
I'm
sorry, back up. Can you say that again, but do it in your movie voice? Because that was gangster.
Well, the problem is that the truth can be problematic for people who are not operating in the truth.
Jesus, we need to write that shit down. That was great.
Yeah, well, and it's true. I mean, you think about politicians specifically, and whether you're on the right or the left, they don't really operate in truth. They operate in what can we get people to believe so they vote. This is not the way that Elon Musk operates.
Right.
He bought Twitter on a whim because he was pissed off, because he was frustrated that it was not being fair. He is fighting for fairness.
It's fair.
What human being does not want fairness for all human beings? It seems like a very reasonable thing to me. So, and he goes through this entire interview. For the next hour and 10 minutes of this interview, you see the picture of a guy who's just trying to be reasonable about things. And he doesn't always have good responses. This Andrew Ross Sorkin guy, which, by the way, he ends up calling him Jonathan at some point, which I think is hilarious. He gets his name wrong,
Yeah. The best part though is he gets his name wrong after saying how long you've known him. I've known you for a long time. We're good friends, right, Jonathan?
Right. He got his name wrong. And so and he's not doing that intentionally. See, a lot of people think he's trying to be, do this intentionally. Nothing that Elon does, everything is just off the top of his head. It's a huge problem. And he even admits it throughout the entire interview about how, hey, I make mistakes all the time. I'm not always right. I'm probably saying things that I shouldn't say all the time. But the problem is that there's no evilness behind it. You could see when he talks about how Biden had this huge electric vehicle thing at the White House, and they didn't invite Elon Musk and Tesla. Right. Then they would go on to say that GM was the leader in these electric vehicles.
I saw that same thing. What are you talking about? GM is the leader in electric vehicles. It's everything they say is just not true, and they just say it like it's true from the office and the pulpit that is the White House. They just say, here's a statement that is fact, and it's 100% the fucking opposite of a fact. And they do it so often, and there are people that are not in the know, so they're just like, oh, well, why would they lie? Because that's all they do. It's constantly. They daily lie about shit. It's so crazy and it's so blatant that it's terrifying.
Right. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. And the problem is that Elon wasn't lining up. So he was speaking out about things that didn't make sense, whether it was on the left or the right. And so they punished him. And he took it personally. You can see this guy on the stage. He's not perfect. He's making mistakes. His comment here that, the F you to the advertisers, I mean, that's like guttural real for him. But on some level, it's also kind of childish in a way, because when you look at the fact that he's like, well, hey, they're going to bring down Twitter and the world will know. And it's like, okay, well, if they bring down Twitter, that's not a good thing. and the world will know, but they'll forget 15 minutes later. So you can't just like throw it in and say, you know, that's it. They're going to bring down Twitter, you know, and he's kind of like sitting on this as like his reasoning. But if you really pay attention to it, that's not really, you can tell he's just in his emotions a little bit here about this. You know, it doesn't sound realistic. And this guy's trying to like hammer him and bring it home. And then eventually, if you listen to him long enough, he will kind of explain where he's coming from. There's multiple times in this interview where he talks about his childhood. You know, he even says, what am I sitting through, like a counseling session here? You know, you see like an inner bared Elon Musk of a guy who's just trying to do the right thing. He talks about over and over again. He's like, you know, all of his Tesla stuff, according to him, I haven't looked at it to verify it, but I think it's true. It's all open source. Anybody can use his
patents.
His patents.
Yes.
And he's like, tell me another company who does that.
No, there isn't. And he took the majority of their patents that wouldn't affect the company, and he made them public source, and he even posted them up, and they're hanging on the office walls in detail. Anyone can use. In fact, by the way, GM, the leader in electric vehicles, actually uses a couple of those patents. Their latest vehicles use Tesla tech because they legally can.
And he wants that because Elon believes that the people will buy the best product. So he's confident that he will create the best product. I mean, if you just listen to this guy, if you're a reasonable person and you listen to what he's saying, whether or not you care whether he smokes pot on Joe Rogan or he says dumb things or names his kid weird things or names his business's weird shit or anything he says, listen to his words, watch his actions. Don't, you know, that's the thing is a lot of politicians, you can hear what they're saying. That stupid interview with the thing with Gavin Newsom and DeSantis, where they did their thing last night.
I'm convinced that Gavin Newsom is just a fucking robot.
Well, here's the thing.
Hi, I'm just politician 5000. It's crazy.
It's just a disease. To be a politician is a disease, and it's a disease in lying.
He never answers a question.
Disgust.
Like they ask him direct questions. He goes, right. Oh, yeah, that's an important question. Thank you for asking that question. That's an important question. Before we get there, let me talk about this. You're like, whoa, hold up, bitch. Like,
well, of course, but that's the way it always is.
If you do it every single time, though, you never answer a question. At what point, after about an hour, I'm like, why am I here?
Brian, it's been that way forever. Politicians don't answer questions that aren't going to make them look good. There's no truth. And so here you got a guy who's like, look, you know, I didn't want to buy Twitter.
Right.
I bought Twitter because free speech was disappearing. I could see it happening. I have a lot of money, so I can. Here's a guy with an incredible amount of resources. He's trying to take us to Mars to like protect humanity, the future of humanity. He's not doing it for money. You know, I mean, it's just a byproduct of you know, making a ton of money is a byproduct of what he's doing. And I would say it's good karma. Now, I don't know this man personally, but every time I listen to him talk, even if I'm listening through the stupid shit he says, you know, his heart is 100% in the right place.
Yeah. The one thing about Elon that a lot of people can learn from, and that there's a saying in competitive video games, there's some video games you have the ability to buy back. Like say you have a lot of gold or money or whatever your in-game currency, and you die, you can buy back to affect the match. And a lot of times, the more selfish people won't buy back to win the match. And people go, well, are you saving buyback for the next game, buddy? You know, same concept with like, are you saving your money for the next life? Like you got one life and you have all this this money. The fact that he's trying to utilize it to make some kind of positive difference in the world is so much more, in my opinion, noble than, and no offense to Warren Buffett, I don't know Warren Buffett, but Warren Buffett, 85 years old, just sitting on stacks of cash that he's going to die with.
Well, he's giving a lot of it away.
And again, I don't know.
He's extraordinarily.
I'm just trying to name one of the top five.
He's the wrong one.
Okay, so my bad.
Him and Bill Gates, you just got to leave him alone.
Name another, like Jeff Bezos. Is Jeff Bezos spending his money on helping?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
All I know is like most of these people are not moving the needle in any way, and they're just sitting on stacks of money. They're just widening the gap between the the 0.1% and the rest of us, you know?
Well, it's to what he says here. He talked about Jeff Bezos, and he said, you know, hey, I want him to build more rockets. I want him to get to space. I want him to help me make humanity better. You know, so he's all about all of us working together. And I would just say, if you watch this and you're like, I hate that Elon Musk guy. First off, ask yourself why you hate him. Okay. Yeah. Do you hate him because he says dumb things? Because sometimes he doesn't always say the most politically correct thing. So then listen to what he's doing and ask yourself, why do you hate this guy? You know, because he's a billionaire? Yeah, he's got a bunch of stuff. He's got a mansion. He's got everything you could ever want. Is there a reason to be jealous of him? Of course. You know, is this something that
does
perhaps
he even have a mansion? I thought he was living on that. And he's living in this. You know, he's not. He actually lives in one of those little tiny McMansions, those things that you can pull on a trailer. Like, look it up. It's actually hilarious. It's comical.
But I'm sure he has multiple homes, and I mean, yeah, he does. He just announced Tesla. Yeah, so, but I'm certain that he's got.
He has this house, this Tesla house or whatever. And he's living in a prototype. Yeah, it's cool looking.
But he also has a Bel Air mega mansion, so he's got.
Okay.
He also owns an entire town in Texas. So,
I remember. I remember that article where it was talking about how they were like, you know, Elon, he doesn't. It seems like he doesn't know how to shower. Every time, like we've interviewed him several times outside the Twitter offices, and he often smells, and it's because there's no shower in his tiny Tesla home or whatever. And you're like, or maybe he just doesn't give a fuck.
Well, let me. I want to leave you with one thought on Elon Musk. Okay, and we have to champion him here because so many people are trying to tear him apart. Every article about this running across the United States right now is negative towards Elon Musk on this interview.
Yeah.
And I just want to leave you with one thought about Elon Musk. And I know this because, like I said, my son is autistic. Elon Musk is autistic. And I'll tell you right now, he is not trying to deceive anyone.
No.
The one thing that you can take to the bank is that there's no deception in what he's doing. He may be making mistakes because he doesn't understand how to be politically correct, but there's no deception here. And let me tell you something, to find someone with power and money in a situation where they can actually, you know, change things we can affect change. Someone who cannot deceive you or is not willing to deceive you is like fucking gold.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen to what he has to say. He's not always going to be everything perfect, but if you don't support free speech and you don't support fairness, then it's on you in the future. That's all I'm going to say.
No, that's a really good point. And how about this? Recognize how every one of the all these people trying to tear him down, every one of these giant journalists and news organizations and websites, all just hit piece after hit piece after hit piece, nonstop. Remember this, they're all owned by like 3 companies. And those 3 companies are all left-leaning, and they all hate this guy. And why? Well, I'll tell you, in my opinion, because there is a platform out there that, and one of the few platforms that they have no control over. They don't have any control over it. And even when you think they can control it with their boycott, with their advertisers' money, what does he say? Go after yourselves. They have no control. And by the way, those 8 companies that they first mentioned, they're all owned by BlackRock and Vanguard. Every one of them. BlackRock and Vanguard have considerable stake in. They are trying to get control over what is being said and what is being done at Twitter/X. And they throw the problem at them. They all group together and they decide to boycott his advertisers' dollars that would shut him down. And he goes, you know what? Go yourself. So imagine that. Of course, every one of those journalists are going to write hit piece after hit piece because they're also owned by BlackRock and Vanguard. Like there's a deeper thing going on here. It's not just, oh, we don't like Elon because he says mean things. No, it's because he's not giving them control. And there's still a place out there that they have no control over. They have no control over Twitter, and it's one of the most visited sites on the planet, and they have no control, and they'll never get it. And then he goes, go F yourselves, which means they will never get control over this website.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's driving them crazy. And no disrespect to Rumble and Daily Wire and some of these other sites, that are trying not to be owned and controlled, but Twitter and X is global. Yeah. And so it's the last main bastion of this. And so listen, if Elon Musk wants to charge $20 a month to make up for advertising to be a Twitter Plus subscriber, then we're going to swallow that, because while I don't go out there, we don't have a lot of money to go and spend on supporting a lot of things like freedom, fairness, and hope for the future that we will continue to have freedom and fairness is like the one thing that we should support. So
yeah, and if you've been here for a while, our biggest thing, like the one thing we will always stand up for and always grandstand for and always speak out for is freedom of speech. Full stop, period, the end. Like we don't, and we can, and even if we don't like what you're saying, we will stand on our small little soapbox and we'll scream that you have the right to say it, because freedom of speech is the most important freedom we have. The ability to criticize and freely speak, not free of consequences, because that can still happen, but your ability to say it regardless. That is so goddamn important. And the fact that there are people, and especially younger people in this day, who think it's not at all important, and these smaller, stupid things supersede it, is because they've been brainwashed by companies that want to keep control. They want to keep control.
Right. And we're not talking about freedom of speech so that you can be, a hate monger. We're talking about freedom of speech just to be reasonable, to be able to go on and talk about your opinion without being canceled, which is what was happening. Just basic freedom of speech.
Yeah, if you get canceled, that's on you, but you should still be able to say it. There should be your ability to say it. Your platform should be, you should be allowed a platform, but if you lose all your fans because you're an asshole, that's on you, but you still have the right to say it.
Yeah. And, but what I'm trying to say is that Twitter was a place where you couldn't even be reasonably, speak your mind.
No, yeah, right. Yeah,
you couldn't say, you know what, I just don't really like this thing. Oh, you're a racist, you're a hater, you're a bigot.
Yeah, and that was the response. Shadow ban. Like,
right, you're gone.
You were literally throttled, and you were controlled based on what your political affiliation was. And it was if you remember, it was bad. It was so bad. Yeah. You couldn't speak out against. You couldn't speak out. You couldn't even like something where someone was speaking out without your account getting throttled. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's not perfect still, but it's still the best thing we've got. So
no, and there's some criticism of Elon or Elon's people throttling, or not throttling, but like deleting a post that someone put up that was critical toward Elon. And to this day, we don't know if it was Elon that commanded it or what, or even if that person is telling the truth. But and it's not perfect. That's fine. But the fact that there's a platform out there that is not going to bow to the whim of every giant corporation trying to take control away from you. These corporations there's no guardrails. Like, you think there's guardrails, but they own the guardrails. You think there's oversight, but they own the oversight. You think politicians are going to make sure that these companies don't screw the little guy? They're going to say it. They're going to have hearings. They're going to talk about shit, but nothing's going to happen because they own them. Right. They own everything.
We're experiencing, and we need to move on to the next thing here, but really quickly, we're experiencing in America 20th century, turn of the 20th century politics again, where the corporations owned the politicians, including the president. The politicians were owned by the corporations, and then the politicians were making rules that were only supporting the corporations. That's now happening again. So and it will end again, but we just need to be aware of it. So I just say support freedom, fairness, equality for all people under all situations. And right now, I think Elon Musk is that face. So
yeah, keep being a thug, Elon. Right here, baby. Love you, buddy. Okay.
All right, let's move on to the weekly weird.
All right, here we go. Weekly weird. We got to put the poll up for.
Oh yeah, what are we doing? Let's do the poll.
So the two losers last week was.
Just explain again what it is that we're doing. So inside the member section, when we go to the member section after this, we're going to be doing our weekly weird in the member section, and you get to vote for that. So that's what.
Yeah. So weekly weird is whatever is is a weird article, story, some video, something that happened that we're going to talk about, react to, and discuss. We have 4 of these, and I've already picked the one we're going to discuss in this section, the public section. The other 3 you get to vote on. Now, what happens is the 2 that from Wednesday that were not voted on, they move forward to Friday so that you have a chance to hear about these crazy articles. Okay.
Yes, the last member section one was about what was that one about?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. Okay, well, just give me the 2 that we didn't get.
So the 2 that we didn't get was the $3,300 chicken sandwich.
Okay.
And Liquid Death's rebrand to Dead Billionaire. So just put Dead Billionaire or Liquid Death Billionaire. I don't know.
And what's the new one?
And the new one, and this, I think this is gonna win. And I can't help it.
You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't say that.
You're right. It's not gonna win. No, you're right. All right, I already effed it up. Mysterious woman tells school board that Scholastic book sparked her debilitating porn addiction. So just put.
I don't even get that. Mysterious woman
porn addiction, whatever.
Yeah, I'm leaving that word out because that will automatically.
Oh, that will automatically. Yeah, just put mysterious woman. Yeah, that'll give us the yellow check mark. This is actually a hilarious article. Like I was like shocked, and then I found some information that is. I'm not going to talk about it right now.
We're going to try really hard not to put our thumb on the scale for these things.
I know I'm doing it right now, and I'm sorry.
We do it almost every week, so we got to let them pick. So,
right.
But
you did it with the Kim Kardashian one. That was you.
No. I said you are always picking these overly sexualized stories, and I'm not surprised that Kim Kardashian is one of them.
No, I look. I go out of my way to try to pick one that is one's about animals, one's about food, one's about people, and it's not my fault that almost
just pick 3 weird ones. You don't got to put them in categories.
No. Because I look at the top 10, like what's been searched the most, and I try to put them in categories. You guys often pick the one that's about people, and the people ones that get the most amount of attraction are usually about women.
Look at the mysterious.
To be fair, though, you guys picked the bear one. Remember the bear one?
They didn't have a choice. There was not much up against.
There was
that
not.
one.
Yeah. It was either that or like sparkling water or something.
Right. Yeah. So what's our weekly weird about today in the live section?
Well, in the live section, I have to do this. Remember.
Get ready, you fucking weirdos.
This is the weekly weird. Today we are talking about the Gavin Newsom / DeSantis debate. But more importantly, there was a moment in the debate that I'm going to play for you, and we're going to discuss it. It's when DeSantis responds to Gavin Newsom by holding up a map of San Francisco where all the human feces had been marked.
What?
Yes.
Okay. Can we see like the headline when you do this?
Oh, this isn't a headline. I literally just pulled this up.
Oh,
after I saw it.
So during the debate last night.
Yeah, they were arguing about San Francisco, and in fact, I was sending you the video so you can watch it off stream too, because I know you have a hard time with that.
Streets.
Yeah. Let me send you the tweet real quick. I'm gonna play it for them so you can hear it too. I forgot to send this to you.
Okay.
All right, there's the tweet.
You know, I typically don't argue with somebody on Twitter about politics, but Newsom was pissing me off so much last night that I was just like throwing his facts back in his face.
Yeah,
couldn't help it.
Newsom, he looks like a
governor, by the way.
Huh?
He's our, just so if you guys don't know, he's our governor.
Yeah,
so.
Newsom is the governor of California. He looks like a robot made to be a politician, but then he got addicted to coke. Like a robot that was made for like robot politician 5000, but he was addicted to coke.
And just to give you some background on Gavin Newsom, the reason why we can't stand him is not just that he's done a terrible job in California, but there's an Adam Carolla interview where he was the assistant mayor of Los Angeles.
Yeah, when he was like a no one. Me and you were listening to this on the way to Vegas like 10 years ago. You remember this?
Yeah. and we're like, this guy is the biggest douchebag ever.
Bro, I remember you actually saying, me saying, oh, thank God we're not gonna have to worry about this guy ever becoming anything important.
Right. Yeah, and he's probably going to be the president of the United States someday.
And I remember specifically, you were like, I don't know, man. The way politicians work, the worse you are, the better. The more you get. And like 10 years later, he becomes the governor of our state. I'm like, oh fuck.
And now I'm telling you, he is positioning himself to be president. I would have never allowed him to have this debate. They should have never allowed this to happen. This is a big mistake. This guy is slick Rick. He knows how to say stuff. And I'm telling you, Biden, because he's so decrepit and old, he is going to slide in. And I'm telling you, he's going to be the next guy.
The most amazing part of that Adam Carolla interview too was because he kept like putting his foot in his mouth, was when he was talking about how we need to make it easier for people to have access to checking. And he's like, when we have people, we need to make it easier for certain groups to have access to checking. And Adam's like, why certain groups? He goes, well, because they don't have access to checking. He goes, wait, so like, why can't they get checking? Well, because they have a problem. So you're saying that they aren't as good as white people? No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Or Asian people? No, I'm not saying that. Well, then why are you specifically talking about black people? He goes, well, because they have a problem with checking. So you're saying they can't get their own checking? And he was like, he's so stepping all over himself, bro. And Adam Carolla, especially at the time, had like the fastest wit in the world. And he's just like snapping this guy in two for like an hour and a half straight. It was crazy.
It was amazing. Yeah. I don't know if there's still a link to that thing running around here.
I have it saved. Maybe I'll put it in the member section. I'll put a link to it.
Put a link to it in the chat.
It's one of the greatest political interviews I've ever heard. Okay, so here's what happens. So during the debate last night, I'm just gonna let you watch it. Okay, you're gonna see the most hilarious thing is when he holds up a map of San Francisco where all the human feces spots have been marked and dotted. This is the poop map.
All right, let's see it.
Off the streets. We've also invested in unprecedented resources in reforming our behavioral health system. Ron has literally the worst mental health system in America, forgive me, outside of Mississippi and Texas. And so with all due respect to being lectured on some of these topics, Ron DeSantis is not the one I'm going to be listening
30-second response.
Here it is.
I'm looking at total time.
Here comes the poop map.
Look, about 2 minutes. He needs it.
This is a map of San Francisco. There's a lot of plots on that. You may be asking, what is that plotting? Well, this is an app where they plot the human feces that is found on the streets of San Francisco. And you see how
off the streets. We've also invested in unprecedented.
Listen. I know we're laughing. But I was there recently, bro.
It's bad, bro. It's bad.
If you're not going to be run over by like robo taxis, you're going to get shat on. There were homeless people in the street, like chasing cars, like going by. And I was like, get me the fuck out of here. It was crazy. Dude. Like, for real.
DS says, I love seeing when they malfunction. Yeah. What? I'm going to play it again and watch Newsom's face when he holds up.
He does. He has that look on his face.
Watch him. That are found on the streets of San Francisco.
He's like, oh, shit.
Let me go back when he pulls it out. Ready?
He pulled out the poop map.
I can't believe it. This is a map of San
Francisco. Look at Gavin's face.
There's a lot of plots on that. You may be asking.
He knows exactly.
Not the poop map.
He knows exactly what it is. The second he sees it, he's like,
oh fuck! Why did he do the poop map? Damn it!
Oh man, that was gold. That was gold.
Yeah.
There was a lot from that debate that was silly and stupid, but that was the only thing I saw. The second I saw it last night, I'm like, that's the Weekly Weird tomorrow.
How about DeSantis is like trying to smile throughout the entire thing, like the weird, creepy ass smile he has?
He doesn't know how to smile.
He's like this.
Ron DeSantis doesn't know how to smile. He's like this.
Yeah.
And he's like, he has his twitch, his face is twitchy. He's like,
it looks creepy. It's like, you can tell he's nervous about this. You know?
They're zooming in on him. And he's like,
yeah, there are some memes out there that are pretty hilarious.
And the funny thing is Ron DeSantis killed it. Like he really took Gavin Newsom to the woodshed last night. But
he did have Hannity, you know.
That's what I was gonna say. But he was the moderator was Hannity from Fox News.
Right.
And even then, somehow Gavin still looked like the less crazy one. And I like Ron DeSantis, but somehow Gavin, because he was like calm the entire time.
He's slick, dude.
He's so slick.
Politician.
He never answered a single question. He always smiled. He is like built in a lab to be the president of this country, and it sucks.
And he's related to Nancy Pelosi. Just heads up.
Of course he is.
He's her nephew.
He's right. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi, who has ruled California with an iron fist for 50 years. Oh God. Oh God, I hate this. I hate this state so much. I hate the weather's great. People are great, but we have been governed by the same family for 5 decades.
Yeah,
bro. Brown, Pelosi,
the Brown
Newsom.
family is the same.
It's crazy. They're all connected. They literally all are all related, and we just keep voting for them. And I don't get it, dude.
And our wives won't let us leave.
And that's what it is. Our wives won't. I had a perfect place picked out in Amarillo, Texas, right there on the border of like 3 other states. There's a USPS shipping hub. I would have been able to ship merchandise to anywhere in the country. They have free internet that has 1 gig fiber, bro. And I was gonna rent a house for $1,200 a month, a 4-bedroom house with a built-in jacuzzi. And she was like, "I can't leave. My family is still here." I'm like, "Fuck!"
If you want to know how much we love our wives, we love them so much, we're willing to still live in California.
Yeah,
that's it.
No, it's true. And Archmage, you're right. I spend more electricity in a month than you've spent in your entire adult life, bro. It's living
true.
Here is we are governed by the most corrupt, like comic book villain level of corruption politicians. We spend more for everything. Rent, electricity, gas, trash, all of it mandatory. You cannot get away from spending insane amounts of money. People are like, even people who live in their vans avoid Southern California because it's too expensive.
Yeah, and for people like us, we don't make more money. So we get the same YouTube revenue as everybody else in the country. Like we get the same revenue, same portions that everybody else gets. Plus our business is online, the other stuff that we do. So that's not factoring into more wages in California. So we kind of are the people that kind of get screwed. But listen, I'm sure if you guys want to come to the member section, Brian will be happy to regale.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have some fun in there.
Let's take that.
I'm gonna have some fun in there.
We're about 30 minutes
Michael
over.
Nemo, though, he has sent a super chat that's important. Have you guys seen the pics and footage of DeSantis high-heeled boots or lifts? Yes.
God damn.
Yes.
You know, the problem with DeSantis.
He does. He wears boots that are clearly have a few inches built into the boot. And if you like DeSantis, that's great. I think he's done a lot of good for his. He's a lot better governor than.
Bro, he's still a politician.
But he's still a politician.
He's still answering to people, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And and I don't like
the poop
frankly
map.
speaking, I don't like anybody out there except for maybe the libertarian guy,
Ron Paul.
Not Ron Paul, his son.
Oh, Rand Paul.
Rand Paul. I like Rand Paul.
Yeah, I like Rand Paul. He does a lot of talking. All politicians, they just talk a lot. At least Rand Paul says the right things, and he's not a douchebag. But a lot of people just talk constantly. Nothing ever fucking happens. Oh, Jesus. And meanwhile, while they're talking and having hearings about how Facebook is dangerous and TikTok is... There's BlackRock's buying up their next portion of Microsoft and shipping spyware to your computer to literally legally be able to look in your camera. And politicians are going, hey, you know what? We need to make sure that you can do this legally. So let's build it as an earmark into the $6 trillion COVID bill, of which only 0.5% of the COVID bill was actually spent on COVID, and the rest went to special interest groups. We'll build that law in there. Most politicians don't have time to read 1,600 pages. And then what happens now? Microsoft can legally spy on you. And you're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. I'll help tell you what. We'll fix the government in 3 easy steps. We'll tell you in the member section exactly what those 3 easy steps are. And that sounds silly, but it's true. Grab these last few super chats.
No money, Jesus. Don't be fooled by the Popcast bros. They are part of the Cali elite.
You shut up, no money, G. No,
don't tell everyone that, bro. Come on.
What are you doing, man? The Cali elite. That is hilarious. That was funny. That was really funny.
Michael Nemo for $2. Thank you, no money. As a Texan, the governor here is no better in my opinion. Yeah. I'm sure it's
Yeah,
not.
unfortunately, politicians will politic. I want to highlight Penny's thick comment here. I thought this is very interesting. Who wears the pants in the family? If they really love you, they will follow. I'll tell you what, the answer to that, Penny, is very simple. Brian and I work about 80 to 100 hours a week.
Yeah, easily.
No joke. That's not even, I'm not like, I'm not.
I sleep
So,
3 to 5 hours a day. Like
Yeah, so-
7 days a week. I never get 4 nights.
so if our wives didn't have other people to talk to, they would not be with us. So if,
Right.
so if we took them to Texas
Yeah.
and then continue to work 100 hours a week, we probably wouldn't be married much
That's
longer.
the one.
So
That's the one thing. Everybody's just like, well, my family's about. I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work out if I have to interact with you too much during the week.
Anyways, that's a really good point.
I've been
And I
married
think
for 21 years. She's awesome. Like,
I think they would follow us, but I think it would not be good for them. So
no, they would not be happy. And their happiness is like, honestly, my wife's happiness is like more important than anything to me.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Couldn't do it.
I think it goes like
Their-
my kids' happiness, then my wife's happiness, and then like probably Shane's happiness, and then like
I'm on the list.
yeah, you're on the list, and then maybe like the happiness of like people who give me money to live, and like you can go all the way down to like my mailman, and at some point you get to me, and I'm like, oh, that's right, I also need to be happy. I forgot about that.
Well, we're last on our list, of course.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. It looks like we had a split time here in the Stream Hero. I saw Kenneth LaRoque up there. I saw No Money G.
Kenneth the Rogue
Do you
won.
know who won?
Yeah, Kenneth the Rogue won.
Well,
By-
I'm gonna go back and double check it.
He did.
Make
He won
sure.
by 8 minutes. I have the timer here.
Oh,
I
you
can't-
have a timer on it?
Yeah, the timer that I'm gonna try to get displayed. He won by
Okay.
8 minutes.
Okay,
It's
cool.
good. You know why? Because he dominated the front half for so long.
Well, no, I'm glad we know because I'm always stressed out because I have no idea who it is. So
Yeah. I
congratulations
secretly
to
think that Shane was like, we need to be able to display the time on screen just so that I would always know at the end of the stream who won, because I never.
I
know.
just want to know. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
seriously, I really want to know.
Kenneth
I
the-
don't know.
Kenneth the Rogue won. Yeah, by 8
Okay,
minutes.
congratulations, Ken. Appreciate all of your support and congratulations on the win. I'll hit you up privately because you have some other prizes coming as well. And we appreciate all you guys who support us with super chats because frankly speaking, we couldn't do this without it. The channel just does not make enough money. I think we make about $5 a video is what we make.
It's
for
about
our
$5 a video.
2 hours of work. So
yeah, it's about like maybe like $200 or $300
or an hour and a half work.
$200 or $300
then
a
we've-
month at this point.
I think so. Well, including the members.
Yeah, including the
support.
members. Yeah.
Yeah. So come over and be a member. To do that, just stick around, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Stick around. There's also 2 links. So if you're a Prime member, you'll see it in there. Prime members link. If you're an Unleashed member, Unleashed members link. But then if you stay here, it's actually a toss up as to what one you're going to go to because I put both in by mistake. I think it's going to take you to the Unleashed members, which I'm going to start right after this stream. One quick thing: Penny said, "God, spouse, children, myself." Yeah, for me, the actual motto for like my ancestors in Ireland was like faith, family, freedom. So it's pretty much I'm with you on there.
Yeah.
All right.
That's fair.
Let's go. We're going to the member section. Listen, if you can join, that's great. I really hope you can. If you can't, that's cool too. We understand. I'll be back on Saturday, I assume, and then also on Monday at 10 a.m. And we're going to be talking about Lady Ballers on Monday, which should be
Oh, that's
fun.
right. It comes out later today.
Yeah.
Lady Ballers. Yeah, you guys, you want to check that out if you want, and then come hang out with us on Monday. We'll talk about it.
And you guys do see who won? You know what won the Weekly Weird poll for the members
Oh,
section.
I missed that. Yeah, what was
Surprise, surprise! It's Mysterious Woman Addiction.
that? How close was it?
Not she got 55%. Liquid Death is at 9% now. So Liquid Death will be falling off on Monday. You have one more chance on Monday to pick the $3,300 chicken sandwich. All right.
Okay.
So we're-
8%. Yeah, nobody cares about dead billionaires.
You know, it got more last time though. I think they must have looked it up since then, and now they don't care.
Maybe. Well, there's only 12 votes too, so we need to get more votes. in
Yeah,
the
it's
future.
true. Yeah, we should have gotten more votes. All right, so listen, we're talking about the Mysterious Woman Addiction in the members section. So come on down, and hopefully you can join us. And if you can't, that's cool. We understand. Thank you for being here this whole time, and we love you, and we appreciate your
Appreciate you
support,
guys.
your super chats, your likes, all that stuff. If you're still here, like the stream. If you haven't done it, please the YouTube gods, share if you are inclined. And we'll see you guys on Monday at 10 a.m. or in the members section in about 2 minutes.
And also in Discord over the weekend. You guys have a great weekend.
Love you guys.